Hello, and welcome to a gender-specific episode of CTS. We're pumped to have you with us today. Be sure to follow us on social media, our Facebook page, The Chris Truby Show, or on Twitter, @TrubyShow. And if you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button to hit the bell icon so that you're always notified when a new CTS drops. And by the way, I want to take the first minute or so of the show to complain a little bit about YouTube. I think we've all but given up on trying to appease the snowflakes that run that joint. I never know if we're going to be able to advertise a show or not because, we cover controversial topics here. By the way, Facebook does it to me too, so I have to put them in that basket. I can't run ad campaigns for anything they consider to be a political or social ad because they're trying to crack down on misinformation. And I get it. I really do. But I've always felt like we handle these topics in a real down-to-earth manner, and we keep things lighthearted here on CTS. But it's like getting punished when you were a kid, right? One dumbass sprays graffiti on the school wall telling everybody what a dickhead the principal is, and now they got to search everyone's bag for spray paint. It's just intrusive and stupid. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it can still piss a fella off. We got a
Roscoe hot dogs.
Yeah. Now I have to bleep that shit.
What, Roscoe hot dogs? What the hell's wrong with Roscoe hot dogs?
You said Roscoe.
Oh, look, you're bleeping yourself.
I'm bleeping myself.
Roscoe hot dogs, only $1.51. Because they're different.
That's it.
Roscoe hot dogs.
What say you, Fierro? As one of my partners in crime over here, what's the deal? Why can't we have nice things?
I don't know. Nobody wants us to have nice things. You know what? Usually I say a bunch of shit, and I always have something to say about something, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what YouTube's deal is.
Yeah.
I don't know how mentioning a company bars an entire episode. So I'm not sure. I don't even know, because they don't even tell us. They just say, hey, we flagged your show for something. Yeah. I'm like, what'd you flag it for?
Something. They don't even give you advice.
Something. Roscoe hot dog.
Don't do this next time.
Right. Mike, same question. Why do you think we can't have nice things?
People are crybabies.
Yeah.
Mike, why don't you have nice things?
Because I'm poor. We know this.
Oh.
Haven't we covered that controversial topic already?
Well, technically, our show is poor. We've only made like $1 or something, so maybe that's why we can't have nice things.
Have we even made that much? Every time we put something up, they tell us no.
I bet Toe Mogan. I don't want to use anyone's actual name, but I bet Toe Mogan.
Get blocked for it.
Yeah, don't use the real name. So Toe Mogan. I mean, his show is big. The Toe Mogan experience.
Oh, right.
And I've watched his episodes where they mention Roscoe's.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other stuff. But then again, I don't think Toe Mogan advertises. I honestly don't think. I remember one of his episodes. He says he's never advertised a day in his life. It's all word of mouth. Yeah. So he grew from, people that listen into the show just saying, what's up, buddy? You want to listen to this show? And then they listen to the show and someone else listens to the show. So maybe our 2 listeners can get some of their friends to listen. Then we'll have 4 listeners, and then they can get 2.
Well, we actually have more than 2 listeners, believe it or
12.
not.
Can we get a pyramid scheme going with these listeners?
Do we got more than Toe Mogan?
No, we don't have more than Toe Mogan. I guarantee you that. But our last episode did fairly well. We did a good number of listeners, comparatively speaking. So I'm happy about that. I'm jazzed.
People like Kentucky Round Steak.
Yeah, they do.
I do.
Yeah, they do. Oh, no.
Dude,
gentlemen.
We should do that. That should be our thing now. We should never use the actual name. Because you remember that show that you used to watch with Moby and Machel? Remember that show, Buddies?
Uh-huh.
I love that show, Buddies. I'll be there for you, buddy.
Buddy. You can't make up different names and a different show name and then actually use the intro thing.
I didn't use the whole thing.
That's one of the most
3 seconds or less. That's how it works. 3 seconds or less.
Smelly good cat. Smelly good cat.
Smelly good.
Why do you smell so good? I love that song, man.
$2.08. That's what we've made so far here on CTS.
Hey.
$2.08. We're big time. Global.
After this, I'm going to go home, watch some Family Dude, some Impsons. I got this.
Right on.
Have me a Mean It Mutter and Melly Mammoth.
You know what? I've
Nothing's
always
better
wondered
than
about
Mean
the
It Mutter.
Impsons?
Wait, what?
The Impsons. Why do they all have jaundice?
Dude, they've been around for like 20-something years and they haven't aged, and that's what you want to ask?
Well, they're yellow. They
It's
got
a
jaundice.
cartoon.
They're clearly unhealthy.
How come Ijik Onsen has had HIV for like 50 years? Some questions we just don't know the answer to.
It took me a second to figure out that name. I'm like, who?
Well, we're going to have to do that going forward, come up with different names, funny names, I suppose. Come up with different names for everybody and everything. Roscoe hot dogs.
Roscoe hot dogs. $1.59.
Crash Trub.
And you know, with our earnings from CTS, we could buy a pack of Roscoe hot dogs.
We could buy one.
We could buy one Roscoe hot dog and split it 3 ways.
We could buy 2 drinks. We could buy an extra drink because they're only like 51 cents at Roscoe's.
Right.
Dude, I so want to make Roscoe's now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make everything a penny more than it is at the other place.
Roscoe.
You know what's terrible? As I thought you guys were talking about a real restaurant for a second, I forgot Roscoe's was code name for the other company. I'm like, oh, I wonder what this Roscoe's is. Oh, Roscoe's.
We're basically like McWows.
McWows.
They got the Big Mac. Then the other one's the Big Mick, but I don't think we can use that, so we'll just go with the Big Dick.
Right.
Come on down, look at the Big Dick. 12-inch hot dog. Black.
I hate you.
Speaking of people that used to have 12-inch hot dogs.
What a segue. What a segue.
Did we ever even do an intro? Hey guys, we're here. Segue.
Hey, I'm Fiero. That's Mike. This is Chris. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, they know us by now. Anyways.
I was going to say, I think we're getting to a point where we can gravitate past introing each other, because if you've listened to the show with any regularity and you know who I am and you don't know who you two are, I don't know what to fucking tell you.
Dude, I don't even know who I am. Life is a mystery.
I don't know what the hell
Sorry
is
about
he
that.
doing? What are you doing? You got to straighten your dick or something?
Fucking computer wasn't plugged in. It was about to die. It wasn't plugged into the wall.
Right.
I plugged it in, but anyways.
All right, yeah. On with the show. We've got a couple of great topics today, starting with this one. Speaking of 12-inch hot dogs, let's talk a little bit about transgender athletes. I find this fascinating, by the way. In the last 100 years, since women gained the right to vote, we seem to find new ways to justify holding them back in a lot of ways. And this is just my opinion, right? In this case, by allowing men who become women to compete in athletic competition and events where increased speed, strength, and stamina all play a role in one's ability to be effective in that profession. Gosh, what a meaty subject. Fiero, why don't you start? Why don't you tell us how you see this topic? I know it's a hot button topic, but we got to cover it.
I don't know where to start. It's almost like legalized steroids for a while. Listen, I looked it up, and apparently, if you go through hormones after a period of anywhere between 2 to 8 years, depending on what site you're looking at, what doctor you're talking to, stuff like that, between 2 and 8 years of taking hormone replacement, we're purely talking about men transitioning to women. Because oddly enough, this is an issue for women transitioning to men. But men transitioning to women after they've been on hormones for 2 to 8 years have estrogen levels and physical characteristics more in line with a natural woman. So, dude, my issue is all about fairness. It has to be fair. And you have women that are transitioning for like a year or two, going from mid to bottom ranks of their male division to topping the female division. And I don't see how that's fair. There's a reason we have the WNBA and the NBA. Because if the women players played with the male players, what are you going to do? Sue Bird against LeBron. Who do you think's going to win? It's not...
Right.
I'm not saying women are less than. I'm saying in the matter of sports, dude, men are bigger and stronger. It's a biological fact. It's a fact. You can't legislate away facts. They're facts. Men are stronger and faster than women. And we talked about this earlier. Say Ronda Rousey, for example. I am fairly certain Ronda Rousey could beat my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I might even like that a little bit. But besides the point, what I'm saying is the best, when she was at the top of her division, or, Cyborg or whatever her name.
Right.
They can beat some men. In the MMA, I'm sure they could beat some of the men just starting or the ones on the bottom.
Sure.
But when you have...
CM Punk.
Yeah. But as Mike brought up yesterday, who do you have in a fight? Ronda Rousey or Conor McGregor?
Oh, forget it. Conor McGregor. All day.
Conor, yeah.
I mean, who do you have? Tyson Fury or Muhammad Ali's daughter?
Oh, my God.
Dude,
Not even a contest.
Muhammad Ali's daughter is an amazing boxer. She's one of the best female boxers to ever get in the ring. She would get annihilated by Tyson Fury.
Yes.
And it's just a fact. And that's why I think if you are transitioning from male to female, dude, I don't understand. I don't know what to say to allow them to compete. Obviously, there has to be enormous amounts of medical tests and make sure they're not, because they're not doping. If there's a female athlete taking steroids, what happens? She gets banned. She can lose titles. She's kicked out of her sport.
Sure.
Okay, now say you're a female, male to female, right? And you really want to win. What stops you from just missing a couple of your doses? What if you stop taking estrogen? Then you can, when you take the test and they show you have elevated testosterone levels, you can just say, oh, that's like a natural thing. Because, she used to be a man. And what's going to be your response to that? What are you supposed to do?
Right.
So, I don't know. What
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
tough.
Mike.
Well, one of the things you mentioned is after the hormone replacement, after so many years, they have estrogen levels, and what was the other thing you said? Characteristics that mimic a female.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away the height or the muscle mass or anything like that, does it? Like you said, who's going to win between Sue Bird and LeBron James? Let's put LeBron James on the playing field of him going through. Let's put him on the same playing field. He's going through the hormone replacement, and it's been a few years. He's still going to be, what is LeBron, 6'6"? He's still going to be 200 plus pounds. So, I mean, you can replace as many hormones as you want. It may give you characteristics that match, but you're still a big, big, big person.
Sure.
Well, you can't take away the height, but you lose the muscle mass. You'll just basically be a tall woman. But it's not permanent. I mean, I'm looking at it right here from WebMD. Most of the changes brought on by feminizing from hormone therapy are not permanent. If you stop taking the medications, all the changes will reverse themselves.
But what if he's still going through his same workout routines and everything he does normally right now? And you just switch those hormones and he's still hitting the gym like he was before. Is he just going to slow down his production of muscle because of the lack of testosterone? Or is he still going to gain muscle mass like he would normally?
I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know how to answer
Yeah, it's
that.
more of a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
But you know what I
sure.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem fair, because is that going to restrict how they develop their muscle mass, how they'll just still compete on a higher level regardless, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
It's I guess John said the best thing. To me, it seems like doping. You got one heck of an advantage. Like, stop taking the hormones for a couple days and boom, Because you really can't disqualify somebody at that point, because imagine the PR mess they'd be in.
I look at it like it would be an initial advantage because, say they do revert to female levels of testosterone and what kind of muscle they can build and stuff like that. They started out with a huge advantage as being a male athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they were to revert to totally female characteristics in terms of, body mass, weight gain, muscle gain, stuff like that,
they still trained with the competition of males.
Yeah, they are at the absolute peak of what a woman could hope to do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no science on the fact that says they aren't gaining an advantage because of it.
Right.
So, I mean, we're always talking about, let's all be fair. And well, we're basically taking opportunities, records, trophies, what have you, away from women who have worked their whole life. I mean, some of these women, they train from, middle school up until the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then they get beat out by
seriously.
Yeah, and they get beat out by Matt, who turned into, Matilda.
Matilda.
And 2 years of whatever, and now he's jacking weights over the top of his head, breaking records, or jumping farther, running faster.
Even worse, imagine training your whole life trying to get to the Olympics, and you get to college level and you're competing, and then somebody steps in and just destroys everything you work for because they transitioned and they're joining in at the collegiate level, and they just blow you out of the water and you don't have a chance.
So here's my question then, since we're bringing all this up, what constitutes the transition, and where in that transitional process can a female who was born a male begin to compete?
It's a dang good question. Can you just walk up and say, "Hey,
right,
I'm this gender now," or is there some sort of documented proof that they have to lay out?
Right. I genuinely don't know, so I'm asking the question. But I have to
Johnny
assume
Fastfingers over there is probably going to tell us in a second here.
Yeah. He might be doing our market research on that.
Uh-huh.
I would almost go as far as to say that if it's a case where Johnny decides, I think the time is right to come out. I've been living this lie this whole time. I'm actually a female trapped in a man's body. Are we saying 2 weeks after he makes this discovery that he's able to do this?
I would say no, personally.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact of you saying that is a big difference than actually going down the road to getting to the point of hormone replacement surgery, because I believe you have to go through psychological screenings.
I think you do too,
to even get to that point.
Sure.
So
I think you do too. In fact, I know you do.
If John just shaved his face right now and walked up and said, "Hey, I'm Jamie," I think they would say, "That's cool, Jamie, but no, you can't do it yet."
Right.
That would be my guess.
He'd be an ugly ass woman.
He's an ugly ass man. What do you expect?
I'm
Did you find
gorgeous.
anything, John? Did you find anything, John?
This is NCAA sports. New guidelines require only that trans athlete women declare their gender and not change that assertion for 4 years. So for 4 years, they have to say, "I'm a woman."
Yeah, so they're giving them a 4-year.
They have to demonstrate a testosterone level of less than 10 nanomoles per liter at least 1 year prior to competition and throughout the period of eligibility, which is still slightly higher than the natural testosterone level of a woman.
Interesting.
Gotcha.
So basically, 4 years prior, I'm a woman, and then you have to have significantly lower testosterone levels for a man, but still slightly higher than the average woman.
Well, I'm glad they actually have something put in place there.
Yeah, well, I think most leagues and organizations do have some level of check and balance against this stuff. I think where it really comes into play is when you don't have any kind of organized league or a structure set up around the athletic competition in and of itself. And I'll give you an example. if you go up to your local dojo and you decide to sign up for karate classes, say you want to go into Krav Maga or say you want to learn Taekwondo, you're in there competing against other people that, can say, hey, I'm a woman or I'm a man, and may not be a woman or a man. But, there's no criteria for you to match yourself up against. You just go into the dojo and work out.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this an issue that hits professional athletes? Is what I'm really trying to say. Yes.
Okay.
It's a subject that contains professional athletes, but it's also a subject matter that affects the ordinary person, the lay people as well.
Well, I do want to point out I found the Olympic standard.
Okay.
The total testosterone levels in serum must be kept below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months. But women's testosterone tends to be between 0.12 and 1.79 nanomoles per liter, while men are typically 7.7 to 29.4 nanomoles per liter. This means that transgender athletes, even following the IOC guidelines, can have testosterone levels up to 5 times higher than most female athletes.
Wow.
Which means they can have, bigger, stronger masses, more muscles. And this is approved by the Olympics, which is supposed to be the gold standard in competition.
I feel like that's equivalent to a nice steroid shot in the ass before you go and work out.
Yeah. It's basically saying, you could take steroids.
Wow.
Those numbers were pretty boggling. 10 nanomoles when it's, what was it for women naturally? Point what?
0.12. So not even one.
Not even one. Yeah. The high end was just over
the
one.
High
wasn't
end,
it?
Yeah, the high end was right under 2.
That is insane. So
they're saying,
allowed to compete with that much higher testosterone in their system.
They're giving trans athletes 10, which is 5 times as higher.
Are we sure we're not focusing on the wrong aspect of this here?
What do you mean?
I don't even know what a nanoliter is. What did you call it?
It's a nanomole.
Nanomole. That sounds like
it's a unit
fucking
of measurement. We could substitute it for, let's just say ounces. That's something people understand.
But it's not an ounce.
It's not an ounce.
If it was an ounce, they'd call it an ounce.
An ounce of testosterone.
But what I'm saying is we can call it an ounce, a pound, a kilogram, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's still 5 times as higher in women, in trans women, than it is in natural women.
Just call it testosterone.
It is. But I guess what I'm really trying to ask here is, how do you equate, like, I don't know what fucking nanoliter is, or a mammalite or a marmalite is. How do I equate that to the lay person? I'm a guy, and I don't have any desire to become a woman. But let's pretend that I do. Let's say I live as a woman for 4 years. I'm not athletically gifted at all. I'm not an athlete. I don't do well in hand-eye coordinated sports. Does that mean that I would be able to walk onto a basketball court and do well against
it
a
most
team of
certainly
female
doesn't.
athletes? No, it doesn't.
You still need skills and everything.
You still need skills.
We shouldn't detract from that. They are
right,
talented, but it's the competition. You can have the same skills.
But what are we saying is the thing that makes the competition unfair? That's what I'm after. If we're saying that it's these nanomites or these midichlorians or whatever the fuck they are, then
midichlorians.
Well, I don't know what the fuck they are.
Bar Wars. Well, it says these higher levels of high levels of testosterone increases muscle mass and reduces fatigue, both of which are important when competing in high-level sports. Now, when you get to the Olympics, you are of a certain skill set. You are of the best of the best.
You should be elite.
Okay, look at sprinting. Who's the fastest dude alive?
Usain Bolt. He was at one.
Well, I think he still is. But he literally beat other men by seconds. Sometimes less than a second. And he was blazingly fast. So now we have women that are beating each other by less than a second. And we let someone else in who can have that slight advantage of 5 times the amount of testosterone. And testosterone literally makes you run faster, makes you run harder, lets you run longer. So when you have 10 women all separated by minuscule amounts, and then we allow someone like that to compete, saying they're on the same skill level, the mere advantage that they have 5 times the amount or 5 times the ability to gain muscle mass. And like I said, to run faster, run harder, run longer. That just doesn't seem fair to me, because that's something that the other athletes, no matter what they do other than cheat by taking steroids, could get the same outcome.
So essentially what you're saying is whoever the guy who got the silver medal behind Usain Bolt gets sick of Usain Bolt winning all the time and says, screw this, I'm going over here. Now all of a sudden he's got that bigger advantage because he's that second place competitor to the best man. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
I don't know if it's a case where people are doing this on purpose to say, well, I can't win a gold medal in a men's.
No, I'm not.
The women's division.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to do that.
But see, what you're pointing out is number 1 and number 2.
Mm-hmm. What about number
examples,
547?
Yeah, what examples that we actually have, like out there in the world that have happened, are men. It was the TikTok I linked earlier. Someone that it was like 133rd in the men's division, and their 100-meter times transitioned, which I assume they didn't transition to win, but I don't know. But I'm going to assume they didn't. But they went from 133rd in men's to number 1 in women's in terms of their 100-meter speed. Mm-hmm. And they met all these marks. They met, the approved estrogen level. They met that, they weren't, what have you. They weren't male anymore. They were female now. Right. And they dominated.
I think that's a case where, you have somebody who's clearly an athlete and they clearly want to continue to compete on a level that they feel they should be competing at. And, it is. I see this as more of a moral and ethical dilemma than anything else. And we have to figure it out because you're right. It isn't fair.
We already have so many variations between the genders now. Like, I'm sorry. If you look at Mike and you look at LeBron James, and I don't know, we're talking to some aliens and we tell them, yeah, they're the same species. Dude,
they're going to say no.
You take Mike and LeBron to the court, LeBron's going to shit all over him. Hell,
You've never seen me play basketball, apparently.
I don't care what you could do.
Yeah, but can LeBron build a car dealership like Mike?
Maybe.
He's LeBron James, probably. He could build
He's
all
LeBron
of
James.
Yeah, what can he do?
Who am I to doubt LeBron James, right?
King James, don't ever put him down.
I'm not saying what Mike doesn't require skill. Mm-hmm. But LeBron James, I bet you could train LeBron James to do what Mike does a hell of a lot more successful than you could train any 3 of us to do what LeBron James does.
Well, probably, yes.
Probably, yeah.
And
I mean, unless you two are going to help me up, I don't think I'm dunking on nothing.
I don't know if I have the muscle capacity to help you up, bud.
Lift me up!
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because that actually segues into our next topic here, which we'll get into. We'll discuss that just as soon as we pay the bills. Don't go anywhere. CTS will be right back.
Roscoe Hot Dogs, $1.59.
All right. Welcome back to the CTS. I'm here with my main motherfuckers, Fiero, Mike, and we are talking equality today. We touched on it just at the end of segment 1. Now let's go into where I think this is all logically leading us to. I want to start us off by saying that just at a high level, my biggest observation with regards to the whole equality thing is that with advances in technology allowing everyone to have a voice, It almost seems to make the world very small by comparison. It's like this. Suddenly, instead of knowing that one or two people in your neighborhood that are different than most people, now you're faced with the firsthand knowledge that there are people in your life who are the complete polar opposite of you. And you have to decide how you want to deal with that because, let's face it, freaks are everywhere. And how do you really determine what equality is when there's so much difference to be seen in the world? And that kind of brings us up to the whole gender thing. What did you say? How many genders are there now? You know,
it depends.
Am I wrong?
It depends what you mean. Sex,
No, it
there's two
doesn't.
sexes. There's male and female.
Right.
Gender, I don't know. As someone that believes in science, I still think there's two genders. But I fully try to respect people's desire to, how do I phrase it?
Yeah, be careful, man.
Identify as what they want to do. You know, there's...
Right.
Dude, I can't even list all the genders now. There's so many.
It's out of control.
I hear the clicking of the keyboard. I'm excited. I'm patiently waiting this.
Yeah. Male, female, transgender, gender neutral, non-binary, agender, pangender, genderqueer, two-spirit, third gender, and a bunch of other ones. There's at least
What's
78.
gender spirit?
I don't know.
Oh,
Click
okay.
it.
I thought you had little descriptions behind.
Let me see.
Everything
oh,
you
wait.
pulled up
You want to
there.
know which one?
Was it
Two-spirit?
Gender
spirit?
spirit.
What the fuck?
There was two-spirit. I don't think there was gender
Oh,
spirit.
two-spirit. Okay. Show me what is two-spirit just bisexual? I
Okay,
mean,
two-spirit is a modern English term that an indigenous person might identify as that comes from traditional knowledge of indigenous people. In Canada, Turtle Island, North America, it can be a person who walks between genders, one who carries the gifts of both male and female, or who is gender unique. And
so hermaphrodite.
Or as a way to identify as 2STL LGBTQ+.
Oh my
What
God.
the fuck?
I don't even know. See, this is what the fuck. Part
You
of
need
me
a doctorate to understand that.
Part of me thinks this is all just an elaborate gag by the Gen Z kids as a way to have their own little code, to talk about themselves in a way that they all relate to each other, while the rest of us are just sitting here going, duh.
Well, apparently,
I've seen this game before.
we are now I assume the three of us are cisgender, and it's a term to describe someone whose gender matches what they were assigned at birth. For example, they're a female.
You
at
mean your
birth
gender?
based on being born with a vagina.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my God.
Is this because people are just screaming for individuality anymore?
Well, I think that's part of it. Like
Ooh.
I said, it wouldn't surprise me if this is just an elaborate gag.
I'm going to be genderqueer.
Right.
Someone
right.
may be genderqueer if their gender
Janitor
if their gender identity is neither male or female, is between or beyond genders. I want to be beyond genders.
Right.
Dude, Morgan.
You're so advanced.
Well, and of course, that brings up another thing to me. You know, I didn't create cisgender as a label. They did. So what if I don't want to be called a cisgender? Isn't that disrespectful?
I don't know. You could be gender neutral. You could be non-binary.
I don't want to be non-binary,
Yeah, what if you don't wanna
gender
be any
fucking
of them?
neutral. This is not like ordering a fucking coffee at Starbucks. I'll have a medium non-soy latte, light sugar. Fuck that shit. Give me a
Wow,
fucking
dude.
coffee.
There are 58 genders identified by ABC News.
Bullshit.
That's what they're saying, man.
58 fucking genders. Let me ask you something. When you observe the miracle of birth through your pets, if your dog has a litter of puppies, what do you call them? Are they boys or girls?
Well, when I just had all those rat babies, they were just rat babies.
I don't know. I'm
babies.
sure if we could talk to some of the dogs, I might have a non-binary dog.
You might.
What I want to do is get one of each gender, all 58. Stand them in line, shoulder to shoulder, and then bring somebody in and see if they can pick out which is which.
You remember
without
back
anybody
in the day,
talking.
Maury. You don't remember Maury? He used to bring out
do.
like the trans and be like, "Oh, is that a woman or a man?" You'd be like, "Woo!"
Yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
Now they should just bring out 8 people that all look exactly the same. Be like, guess their gender. I bet I'd get them all wrong. Man, there were some hot trannies.
I think we're only talking about one aspect of it yet. And look, it's an important aspect because it's sort of in your face, right? The problem with it is, like I said at the very top, it's all over social media. How else do you know that your best friend from high school has a Gumby fetish? After a while, I think part of the problem is people start to think that immunity against consequence comes from anonymity or being able to step away from those comments from time to time. And that's why you see a lot of it on social media, right? Yeah. It's hard for someone like Buford T. Justice, leader of white fucking America, to see a lesbian who looks just the same as he does. I'm talking flannel shirt, John Deere cap, dirty jeans, and yet these lesbians are pulling hotter chicks than Buford ever could. And you know what? Maybe that pisses Buford T. Justice off, and maybe he's got a right to be pissed off. But at the same time, that lesbian has every right to think of Buford as this creepy little...
Wait,
what?
I'm confused. Why does Buford get... What's his right to be offended? Because he can't pull hot chicks. Stop being a dick.
That's his problem.
Well, it's not that he can't pull hot chicks. He probably could. He doesn't know how.
Grow a vagina.
Why doesn't he know how?
I'm guessing nobody taught him, or he doesn't have any game. There are dudes out there like that, believe it or not.
No one
Don't
taught
have
you.
any game.
Who taught you?
What do you mean? I learned through the experience of life. You would never believe. When I was a teenager, I was as awkward and gawky as awkward as the day is long.
Aren't we all?
I'm not like that anymore, I'd like to think. But who knows? Anyways, my point is this.
Yeah, were we supposed to disagree? I mean, we could see you.
No. In a roundabout way, my whole point is this. While social media is a great tool for bringing like-minded people together, it also forces us to ponder maybe the same question that humanity struggled with since the beginning of time. And that is...
the meaning of life.
Well, yeah, it's the meaning of life. What does it take for us to overcome bias? And the answer to that is simple. We can't. We're not meant to. I think people often mix up the word equality for respect. And what we just talked about is one example that defines that. Buford isn't equal to that lesbian, and he knows it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe the lesbian has a right to see that crusty old dude as a disgusting creep. Neither one is wrong from their perspective. The real problem is that everyone is so caught up in trying to make their voice heard that nobody takes the time to think about what they're really doing or what they're really participating in. But nevertheless, it is interesting to see the role that social media has played in steering this conversation, even though it's only had the smallest footprint in this entire discussion.
Well, don't forget, nevertheless, while everyone's trying to get their voice heard, we appreciate you listening to our voice.
Yes.
Yes. Shameless plug for the CTS. But here's the thing, too. I'd like to think that when we talk about a subject or a subject matter, that we approach it from a real and yet respectful perspective. We never have to go to a place that comes from evil or hate.
Right.
Well, I don't think any of us here are bigoted or hateful towards anyone else.
No.
We don't.
And we certainly don't have anything against transgender people or anything.
I mean,
it's.
I'll openly admit that the people that are going to disagree or have a gripe about what we're saying here is that we have 2.5 white dudes, half a Mexican dude, straight guys that like women. So, we don't live through the gay experience or the trans experience or the woman experience or the black experience, all this other stuff. So, our viewpoints are our own and from our own perspective. Now, we do have swaths of experience between the three of us for various things.
Yeah.
You know, Mike has the family life, has all the kids. He has to deal with that shit. You know, you have more life experience than all of us. You know, I have.
What are you trying to say?
You're old. You were in the
True.
war, man.
I was, yeah, okay.
And then, you know, I have my own experiences through, you know, growing up with a black family, Hispanic family, white family, everything that I went through. And all our experiences are basically what we put into the show. It's our views. I will say, unfortunately, all of our views tend to match up. We don't really have a lot of friction, which I don't know if that's good or bad. But I just want everyone to know that anything we ever say doesn't come out of hate at all or malice towards anybody. Because that's not what the show's about. It's just to explore topics that are impacting everyday people such as ourselves, such as yourselves, and talk about them for a while and, you know, see if we can't solve the world's problem every day in an hour.
Right. And I agree with that
Right.
100%.
And
like
if you do happen to have a differing opinion,
damn
hit
it,
me
you're
up.
taking what I was going to say.
Well,
That's literally what I was going to roll into. It's like, hey, well, I would love to hear everybody's opinions, and if they do want to try and educate us on things that we don't understand,
right.
Dude,
respectfully let us know.
Right? Yeah. If
Have
we
a
could
conversation
show.
with us. Or,
If we
yeah,
could
come
get
on
a-
the show, comments, anything.
If we could get a black, non-binary trans fish on the show, that would be awesome.
A trans... What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the last word? Finch?
Isn't that Kanye West?
Fish!
I'm a
Oh,
gay
I thought you
fish.
said Finch. I was
Right.
like, we're getting a bird? He said, isn't that Kanye
No.
West?
Right.
Well, because like I
No.
said, we don't have some of those experiences that we talk about. But what
Sure.
we do have is the same experiences that millions of people are going through when they have to navigate life through the current world that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
Because while we, you know, want to respect someone, like what we were talking about earlier with the trans athletes, we want to respect their, how am I trying to phrase it? We want to
Their
respect
path.
Yeah.
Their journey through life.
Their life, I
But-
guess, yeah, their beliefs, their need for competition,
Yeah.
all of it.
I don't want to switch, you know, sides so far that we go from, you know, trying to respect the needs and desires of the trans community to oppressing, you know, women,
Right.
women athletes. I mean, there has to be some sort of delicate line there where unfortunately, dude, life isn't fair. Like I
Yeah.
said, Chris is older than most of us. And he knows life isn't always fair. It's
Yeah.
really not. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we hate anybody. We don't want to wish ill on anybody. It's just, sometimes you don't get what you want. And that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, and on that same line, since we are talking about the differences that make us great, we'll never overcome our bias because we're not meant to, right? But it is up to us to decide what kind of person we want to be, and not everyone deals with their emotions the same way, and it's ridiculous to think we should. Equality, to me, right, and this is how I would describe it. Equality is about treating each other with the same level of dignity and respect while acknowledging the differences that make us great. That's it. There's no big secret to it. There isn't a hidden meaning somewhere. Making a statement that, you know, hey, anyone can read and write doesn't mean that everyone is capable of being a Pulitzer Prize winner. It's a teeny tiny lie we tell ourselves to motivate our dreams. But it's like anything else we do anymore. That idea has been corrupted by people who are vocal, who are the most vocal, who have something to gain from the division of thought over this idea. Going a step further, I also think that all of the cries for equality in these smaller circles can sometimes dilute the much larger examples of long-standing issues. Case in point, you brought it up a little bit ago, racial inequality, especially before the law, has the consequence of death in some cases. I mean, some of these older institutions that have built generations worth of laws designed to make it harder on race and class, that has far-reaching consequences for all walks of life in a very different way than someone fighting for transgender rights or someone wanting to be, you know, I'll say this, thinking that transgendered person transgendered people being discriminated against based on gender doesn't hold a fucking candle to life, a human life being put at risk because some old rich white cocksucker doesn't want to challenge to his imaginary empire.
But see, we're going to say something like that, and then I assume what'll come back is, we don't know what it's like being trans, and, people...
Sure.
Dude, people are bigoted, and they will kill someone for being trans. Now,
sure,
the trans issues that we have in America, while they are... I don't know, they are bad. You look at some of the African countries where if you hold the hand of another man, both of you can be put to death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think often sometimes when we talk about issues that face the world, that we tend to focus on issues that are predominantly American, because
right.
all of us are America. I live
right.
in the UK now, but basically it's almost the same as America. They have the same issues,
right.
problems, not much
right.
different.
This is our bubble.
Yeah.
This is where we see.
And we tend to forget that if you're going to be trans, you want to be trans in America.
The first world.
Yeah, in the UK.
Yes.
You don't want to be trans in South America. You don't want to be
right.
trans in Africa. So, when we bring up that, it's life or death, black people getting shot by cops and stuff like that, that equally it's that bad for some trans people in other parts of the world. And like I said, there's nothing that we're going to say in this hour that's going to solve the world's issues. It's mainly just to try and, for ourselves and our listeners, to get a better understanding of what the issues are. Like Chris brought up earlier, when it comes to equality, it's really hard because when you try to get equality for all, you're going to miss someone. It's especially now when we were joking earlier how many genders there are. It is damn near impossible to get equality for 78 genders. Somebody's going to end up with the short end of the stick. It was bad enough when we had 2 genders. We have, thousands of years of history where we couldn't get 2 genders right. And now you want us to get 78 right.
Honestly, I think the drive for equality will lead to the creation of more, too, because like you said, you'll never get everybody. So somebody will say, what about me? I have all of these things, but you forgot about this part. So boom, there's 79. And then it happens again. Boom, there's 80.
It'll always be like that because we got to remember that women have only been able to vote since what?
The last 100 years.
Yeah. I mean... And that was when we had 2 genders, male, female, and that was it. And we saw what happened. One gender dominated the other gender. And now we're at a point where, again, this is just here. Hell, Saudi Arabia, only in the last, 10 years that women could drive. There's other countries like North Korea. The women is well below the men. So again, our issues that we're talking about here are uniquely first world issues because... the multitude of genders have a platform to speak up. And I'm not saying in any way that we shouldn't continue to fight for equality for all. I'm just saying there are places that are far worse. And we need to remember that when we're fighting for equality, that it should be for all. And like I said, it's unfortunate that we'll never get there, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep trying.
I agree. I agree.
No, it's definitely worth trying and continuing, but at some point you got to stop muddying the waters as well. I think we almost create more confusion for ourselves with our first world problems and our strive for equality, which creates I don't even know. I don't know. I'm just stuck on the part where we continue to make more by trying to fix. I feel like we make the problem worse and worse.
Oh, no. We do. We do make the problem worse by, and look, Fiera was right 100%. Over here in America, we have first world problems. Everywhere else, it's a matter of life and death. And I suppose that's really what I'm trying to assert when I say what I say. I think that giving everyone a platform to speak has allowed for a lot of great things. A lot of great ideas can be shared over social media. But
I understand that people are listening to us through the internet, but I absolutely loathe the internet. It is a
Yeah.
great place to share ideas, but if you actually ever sit on the internet, anonymity just causes so many assholes to be who they are.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place. It really
People
is.
say whatever they want without consequence because they don't see the consequence of saying what they say.
I mean,
that takes us right back to the QAnon episode. Look at that, for example.
Yeah.
Anonymity created that.
I still, watch Becca stream. She was a streamer we had on the show.
Yeah.
And she still has people coming on her stream. Boobs. Take off your top and shit. And
Right.
I'm like, man, come on.
I know.
And then, I always love to go to Reddit. I don't know why. I just like being on Reddit.
Reddit's great.
Reddit gets dark.
It does. Reddit is like humanity, though.
We could solve a lot of those problems too just by learning to be nicer to each other. Start with your kids, parenting. Teach them to respect each other and all that kind of stuff. That creates a lot of the issues as well, because hate breeds hate. Hate breeds hate. And if we just keep pushing it forward, it's never going to go away. So, I mean, the biggest bottom line at the end of the day is, if we want hate gone, we got to get rid of it. It's easier
Beat our
said
kids
than
again.
done. Eat our kids again, yeah. Just go 300, throw them off the cliff.
I'm sorry, a timeout never worked, but when I got a spanking, I never did that twice.
Right. But that's not necessarily what I mean, though, like bad behavior. But kids pick up on things that you say. And,
Dude,
if you're...
It's called being a role model.
Yes, if the bigoted person is sitting at home being a bigot in front of their children, guess where that kid's going to go? He's going to go to school, and he's going to be a bigot and teach other people to be a bigot.
Right.
And
examples.
It really starts with us as humanity. Just bottom line, treat your fellow human like a human. Take everything else out of it.
A child...
We all bleed the same way, Gender, personality, screw it all. Just be nice to each other at the end of the day.
Yeah.
A child is not born racist or bigoted or hateful. You put two children together that don't know any different, black, white, Indian, Asian, put those four kids together and they'll start playing with each other.
Hell yeah, they're going to have fun.
They'll have games together. Then they go home and find out that, the white kid shouldn't have been playing with the black kid. He doesn't know why. Over the years, his dad says all this other stuff, and all of a sudden he becomes a racist. That's just...
It's sad. It really is. At some point, the humanity aspect left.
Common sense. That term, common sense. That means it's supposed to be common, right? That's like the average intelligence. Or the average amount of sense. That means that there's 50% of the world that have less than common sense.
I'd believe that.
I mean...
Pump up that number a little more.
I think that's average. I think it's higher than that. But
I don't think common sense is very common. But what I mean is, when you have all the voters, people voting. I was talking about this, we're talking about equality and everything, and we want, to elect the right officials, blah, 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 stamp out corruption, all this shit that's never going to happen. But when it came to Georgia, when they were voting, Democrats won, they won both seats. What did they run off of? Vote for us and you'll get $1,200. Yeah. Anybody that I think voted to get $1,200 is a complete idiot. Don't get me wrong, $1,200 is extremely useful to a lot of people. And, I'm glad the money went out to the people that needed it. But you're supposed to vote on the issues.
I agree.
You can't buy a vote.
But they did, and they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Because they know we look out for
This is just
one.
the most blatant example of buying someone's vote.
And it was right out there. Biden said, vote for us, you'll get them checks. So what they do, they voted for him, and they got those checks.
Yep.
But it's just, politics isn't for intelligent people.
No.
I don't know if people would consider us intelligent or not, but I assume the three of us are intelligent enough to watch the news, watch a story, and realize, hey, that story is the beginning of the truth. Every time I watch something on the news, that is the beginning of the story. They run the whole story from start to finish, but for me, that can't be the end. Because I don't care if I'm watching Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, what have you. They are telling their version of what happened. So I need to do my own research. If I watch CNN, I watch Fox. See what Fox has to say. Because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get one side of the story, you're going to get the other side of the story, and like everything, the truth is always somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people that they watch one side or the other, and that's it. That's it. That's where they get their news from. That's everything. There are so many. You've seen it before. You'll watch like Jimmy Kimmel or something. He'll always do that. Oh, would you rather have Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act? And I'm like, God damn, I'll never have Obamacare. I'm all about the Affordable Care Act. I'm like,
same thing, isn't it?
they're the exact same thing.
The exact same thing.
And those people are voting.
Mm-hmm.
The people that do no research, don't know what they're doing, simply vote always for their person, their party. And I told Chris this yesterday. I am too conservative to be liberal and too liberal to be conservative. So for me, I don't really have a party.
Yeah.
All of that brings me back to it's all for money. The news is for ratings, so they pander their ideas to the people who will give them the most ratings, which brings them back around to money. Greed runs the world. Greed and hate.
Greed is a weird human condition. It spurs a lot of ingenuity. Elon Musk and his billions was made from creating things that the world needs. But let's be honest, he's greedy. Bill Gates is greedy. Jeff Bezos is greedy. But I mean, we needed that greed to spur, the commerce section, the space, whatever, the car section, all this other stuff.
Sure. And I get that. But our lives shouldn't revolve around it. Our lives revolve around that.
I think it's partially subconscious, though.
You think?
Why? Because everyone is a temporarily inconvenienced millionaire? I don't buy that.
I don't know. I don't think you necessarily walk out into the world meaning to be greedy, but you're presented with choices as you walk through the world.
Sure.
And you have the opportunity to choose not to be greedy and to be greedy. And half the time, I don't think you realize maybe necessarily what you're doing is greedy or vice versa. You look out for yourself, which is greed. So, I mean, subconsciously you're looking out for yourself, which could lead you down that path of greediness.
I mean, you do have some like Bill Gates. He's the third
maybe
richest
I'm just
person
being
in the world now.
optimistic.
But Bill Gates, he's given all his money away when he dies. He's given a small chunk to his kids, but he's given away 99.9% of all his money when he dies. But
why not do it now?
Because he likes living in his space house.
Right.
Nobody will do it when they're alive.
Gold-plated bidet. Right.
I asked you this before. Hey, okay, say I gave you $50,000 a day.
Mm-hmm.
How many days before you stop taking it?
Right. I've thought about that question more than you think since
How
you
many
asked
days?
me that.
50 grand a day.
I don't know. I'll take one day because now I don't want to sound like a greedy asshole after going down a tirade.
Well, what's one day going to? One day's not going to get you a house. One day's not going to pay for your kids' college. So how many days? What do you need?
I don't know. How do you know what you need?
Well, I'll tell you what my answer is. Every day. Every day for the rest of my life.
Calm down, Bezos. Dick.
Yeah, right.
Well, but see, here's the thing. You assume that I'm going to be greedy with it. What if I use that
for hookers
to better humanity? What if I use that?
Are you going to?
I probably would. I probably would. Here's the thing. If you pose that question to me, hey, here's $50,000 a year, a day, every day for however long you want it, and I don't have to question where it comes from or whose bottom line is getting hurt. This is just money we invented just for you to have. Then I'm going to invent a way to fix some of these problems that plague us.
Are you going to pay your CTS staff?
What's that?
Are you going to pay your CTS staff?
I would absolutely pay you guys.
All right, we're getting paid, Bentley.
Ooh, you want to go to McDonald's?
$2.08.
What?
A day?
That's what we've earned.
I'll take it for the rest of my life.
That's a free cup of coffee every day.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I say this because this is a weird question. I always ask you, how much is enough? Well, it depends. Mike, I assume Mike is thinking about his family and his kid's future, buying a house, all this other stuff. Okay, you have now taken care of your family. Is that enough? Why do you need more? For what?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And there's two types of people. Okay, my family is taken care of. Now my family needs a mansion. Now we need a yacht. Now we need a plane. Now we need this.
Right.
And then there's other people that, okay, now my family's taken care of. Now I'm going to give water to the thirsty, give food to the hungry.
Sure.
I'm going to create, reform programs and open up shelters and all this other kind of stuff.
Right. Now the person that's given the water to those people, at what point did they decide that their family was taken care of? Was it after their family got the yacht and the plane and the mansion? Or was it before that? You know what I mean?
Ask Matt Damon.
I think...
Well, all I'm saying is everybody's opinion probably of now my family is taken care of could be different as well. That person...
For me, it's easy.
Well, yeah.
I would like a house with enough money to live comfortably. And then you always go into what's comfortably. Dude, that's like maybe 2 years of $50,000 a day, and I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not a fancy bitch.
I think that it's a very pointed question, and I don't want to spend too much time dwelling on it anymore, but it's a pointed question because the question automatically assumes that you are going to use that money for consumables, your house, your vehicle, your property, 60 acres and fucking who knows what else. But, it is truth to say that not everyone in the world thinks that way.
Oh, there's not. That's what I mean. There's so many different people that answer that question in so many different ways. And the question is not really about the money. It's really about getting to know the type of person that someone is based off their answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, you will instantly find out if their scope is focused in on themselves, if it includes their family, if it includes their friends and family, if it includes their community, their state, their country, the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, honestly, that question is, all right, Jeff Bezos, what are you going to do? Because he makes like fucking $2 million a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Nobody should,
Should there be...
what does anybody need that money for?
Bernie Sanders has always say there shouldn't be a world where there's billionaires. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I kind of do. There's no need. If you sit and think about having more resources, one human being has more resources than an entire nation. Something is backwards. Something is definitely wrong.
Well, we set our country up to allow that, though. If you start limiting...
Allow it, but not completely celebrate it to the point where it takes over everyone's lives.
I see what you're saying. Put them on a pedestal for being able to achieve that.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Fuck me, man.
No, thank you.
What's that?
In 2020, Jeff Bezos made $223,000 per minute for the entirety of 2020.
Yeah, that's just too much.
I'm pretty sure that's all three of our salaries put together. He made in a minute.
Yeah.
Must be nice to be able to alleviate the nation debt on your own.
How much is too
So
much?
wait a minute. How much was it? 221,000?
223,000 per minute. 13.4 million per hour. 321 million per day. Per day.
So basically, when you're saying that he earned all three of our salaries in a minute, Mike, you got to step your game up, pal.
$223,000 a minute. A minute. Holy cow.
That's a lot of car dealerships to build, buddy.
That's about 4 years worth.
God,
dude, he made almost $9 billion a month.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be him for an hour. That's all I need, an hour. An hour of his money-making ability. 13.4
I'll take
million.
one of his minutes.
That's why you're poor.
Yeah, one of his minutes. And look, since we're on that, that's the equality we're talking about. That's exactly an example of the lack of equality that we're faced with every day, and we have to figure out how to get around that hump because we're never going to get rid of our bias. Anyway.
Communism tried.
Yeah. But can you get around of financial equality? Like, can you tell people, all right, you have too much? Okay, then what happens with what they're making?
Well, it's interesting you asked that question, and look, I don't want to dwell too much on this because I know we could talk about it forever, but this is a whole separate thing. I think we already covered those questions during the French Revolution. Anybody remember Offa's head? Let them eat cake. We all saw what happened there. The military took over, and then they had to fight off that.
You know what I used to like? What was this? 40s, 50s, factory workers? Henry Ford. Mm-hmm. What happens when he got to a certain amount of money? He reinvested it into his company, into his employees.
Sure.
Back then, CEOs didn't make 2,000 to 3,000, 4,000% more than their salaried workers.
No, they used to respect the people that helped them achieve that goal.
Inflation, and we're fighting over minimum wage and stuff right now, $15 an hour, and I know that's a lot for bumfuck nowhere Montana. That's not really that much in L.A. But
correct.
If you look, if minimum wage kept rising to inflation, or rising with inflation, you know how much minimum wage would be right now? $22.57.
Yeah.
$22.57 an hour. But what happened? We stopped raising
that touches on the
right.
Yeah, our cost of living skyrocketed, but we kept what we make at a certain amount.
Well, look at it now. Yeah, my wife works. Your wife works. Your wife works too, doesn't she, Chris?
Yep.
My grandfather owned 2 cars, 2 houses, a boat, worked in the military. My grandmother was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, off of his one salary.
Yeah.
And how many kids did he have on top of it?
4.
See? So that's a 6-person family with 2 cars, a house, a boat. Off of his, what was his salary back then too?
I don't remember his salary.
Do you happen to know, a shot in the dark, what was he making, 60 grand back then?
Hell no, not that much.
I wouldn't even say that.
Yeah, that would
way.
Be even
it
less.
was probably
in
the 20s if he was lucky.
Yeah, maybe,
yeah. 10 would be the start.
But I mean,
would be...
yeah. And what happened? All that money didn't just disappear. It went to the execs and the CEOs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it went back into the people at the top of the food chain's pockets.
It went to the executives and the CEOs, and what they did with it was they started buying their own politicians.
So for me, that would be the answer. Be like, I don't care if someone wants to be a billionaire. If they want to be I think there should be billionaires. If someone can make $1 billion, that's fine. But there should be limits on how much they make a year, and everything over that they should force to roll back into their company.
Now, who's... See, but that's a dangerous thing to play. Who's supposed to force these people to roll that back into their companies and limit what they're allowed to make?
A new branch of the government called me, and I just run around kneecapping CEOs.
Well, Mr. Lennon,
right.
I believe they've tried doing that before.
Fine, I'll hire you too. All you need is a baseball bat and a car, and we'll just drive around capping kneecaps.
That's right. Right.
But what I'm saying is that's a dangerous game to play once you start having somebody appointed to
obviously you
limit.
You can't force them. Obviously, it's going to have to be through, tax breaks and all this other stuff to incentivize people to put money.
Yeah.
Because, and that's just not the American way to force people to do stuff. I understand that, but dude, our system's broken.
Yeah, they'll find a way to cheat it anyways.
Yeah, we have to fix the problem the same way we created it, and I don't see that happening.
Hookers?
Okay. I suppose there's 2 ways to fix it. Total anarchy, or fix it the way you broke it, motherfucker.
The purge.
Don't we have a reset button? We're all in the Matrix anyways. Can't we just fix the coding?
I mean, the only thing I think we could do is we could all move to, like, Sudan or something and try and fix their country. Because, they're third world. They're way behind us. So eventually,
but what happens once
we build utopia?
Yeah,
yeah. You say move there to fix their country, but under whose? How are you going to fix it? Whose image are you going to paint it in? Yours or what they want?
No, I don't care what they want. I'm a white.
Exactly.
Yeah,
almost.
So then you get back to the same problem.
Come on, we could turn Somalia into a paradise.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that's going to happen.
Fieratopia.
Right.
No, just think all the Somali pirates coming, but instead of like guns and stuff, all you hear is doom da doom 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 doom, and they just throw lays at the ship. Doom da doom 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 doom. We're like, yeah, come party at the beach.
What are you gonna do when the people that don't want to have the party at the beach get sick of your bullshit?
Drown them motherfuckers with an iron fist.
Okay.
I rule with a fist.
Oh boy, he knew exactly what I was getting at there.
You have fun or you die. And
oh my goodness,
trans dudes can't compete against women in Somalia.
That's right. Well,
I don't know. There's no way to fix the problem. I think the best thing
Chris is trying to close up the show. Damn it!
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing too. But at the end of the day, everybody's personal opinions gets in the way. So the only thing I think we can do is just do the best we can. I don't think we can fix the problem. We can just try not to make it worse.
You know, there is one question we didn't ask this entire show, and that is, why does Chris's Gatorade look black?
Oh, it's Gatorade Zero Grape.
Yeah, it's fierce grape, isn't it?
Tastes terrible, doesn't it?
No.
The grapes are actually really good. Hey, look, it says drinking.
Oh,
wow.
Pierre.
Foreign drinking water. New low.
Yeah. Anyways, this episode has been fun and enlightening. And if you guys have any... What are you fucking Nestle like? You drinking Nestle?
Right? They make water and chocolates.
Jesus.
He says fun and enlightening. All we did was argue with each other for the past hour and 13 minutes.
Yeah. But it has been. It's been fun and enlightening. And if you disagree with us, let us know.
Please.
Tell me.
Shout out to our sponsor.
Come on the show and set me straight.
Shout out to our sponsor, Roscoe Hot Dogs.
Roscoe Hot Dogs. Oh, crunchy and delicious. With that, everyone, we're going to draw this episode of CTS to a close. I want to thank all of you for listening. We rely on your word of mouth to grow because YouTube won't help us out. So if you like what you hear, please share it. Drop us some love by giving us some likes, stars, high fives, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform, including Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube, so you never miss an episode. For Fierro and Gopher Mike, so long, everybody.
Chewbacca didn't say a damn thing this whole time. What a prick.
Right?
Yeah.
Herpes.